Now, let's talk about Sony and Microsoft coming out of the holidays. You know, at the time we're taping this, the December numbers haven't come out, but you know, we've sort of got a preview of that at CES in terms of how they're doing directionally. Is Sony? I mean, Sony seems to be winning right now, right?
Yeah, they've won as long as they have a $100 price advantage.
Right.
Microsoft will not turn that around.
Yeah.
It's not possible. I mean, I meet with Microsoft frequently. They constantly remind me that the value proposition is $100 greater. But the truth is that nobody can figure out why they need Connect unless they want to use Skype.
Right.
And I don't really, way cool. No, and I have to say that my wife, who won't allow me to have any hardware showing anywhere in the home, allowed Connect to be
no
out.
hardware allowed in the factory.
No, it's all hidden. It's all hidden. I mean, it's behind the, behind
Put that
the walls.
controller away.
But she saw that Connect.
Is really a
Swear to God. But she saw it Connect, and she's like, "You're not putting that up, the new one."
Okay.
And I go, "Let's call your mom." And we Skyped her mom, and she's like, "Okay." So I think it's a killer app, but come on, that's because her mom lives far away. Most people could give a shit. Their mom's in the next room, so they don't really care. And the truth is, smart glass, that initiative, that pretty much does everything that Connect does. And frankly, your smart glass will Skype too. So if Apple could ever integrate Siri correctly, why couldn't I just look at my phone and go Xbox on? And
or have a little voice rate microphone in your controller.
You totally
or
can make it happen.
But
so people don't get the $100. That's what I'm saying.
Does Sony winning, quote unquote, matter? I mean, it seems like if the numbers had been drastically different, exactly, they're both healthy, and which I think is good for gamers and exciting for me personally. I think that the Xbox One isn't going anywhere, and we're going to get strong software coming out soon.
It's a great question, and the answer is it is really healthy that the two manufacturers have bloodlust to kick the other one's ass, because that's good for consumers.
Exactly.
And so it really shouldn't matter to any consumer, but I think this is very much like religion or the college you went to. You have this, or politics. You have this thing, I'm a Democrat, therefore you're an asshole if you're not a Democrat.
But I would wonder how many of the 2 million overlap. How many people of the 2 million of each company bought both? Because I bet that's a big number.
I'm sure there's.
McWhorter didn't.
I think there's some people, and it's tough now because PS4 is in so many more countries than Xbox, so it's not really apples to apples when you compare it. But I'm sure there are lots of people that bought both, or people that will eventually buy both. Right. So I'm sure there'll be PS4 guys that will buy an Xbox One for Titan.
You want a great number? Yeah. So Sony's 4.2 million through December 31st or 28th, whatever it was. They didn't start manufacturing until September 1st, and you know that. I mean, we would have seen pictures off the assembly line. They manufactured 1.4 million a month, and you cannot commit manufacturing capacity for less than a year. So their manufacturing plan is 16 or 17 million PS4s. That's shocking. And Microsoft is making 1 million a month, same logic, and their manufacturing plan is 12. So the Microsoft guys actually didn't believe Sony's number, because they didn't know they were making that many, and that's part of your supply, lack of supply constraint. I'm amazed how ambitious Sony is being with this launch, and impressed that they're executing. So Sony fully intends to kick Microsoft's butt next year. But the good news is, add those two numbers together, 28 million consoles next year? Is that even possible? That's shocking. I mean, these guys sold 22 million, kind of in a peak year in the past. So these guys are thinking, big, big, big. That will attract more software, really good for consumers. And that's the
tough thing is
the bloodlust will bring prices down on the consoles too. So I mean, I think this is the best time to be a gamer ever, except for maybe this week, because there's not very many games. But in another 2 months, we're going to get some pretty good games.
Well, when you look at sort of the year ahead, Michael, I mean, are there games that you think are going to compel you to make that leap?
To what, Xbox One?
Xbox One or PS4,
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big one is Titanfall, and I think that's going to be, a real feather in Microsoft's cap for getting people to jump on that system. It seems like that there's a lot of waiting for E3 and, GDC announcements. There's not a whole lot right now that I think is going to move a lot of people. I think Evolve does look really cool, but, Infamous on Sony's side. But I don't know that there's a ton of great games right now that we're going to see hitting next year for those systems that are really going to make people run out and buy them. I don't see a ton of killer apps hitting next year. But it does seem like there's a pretty decent flow. There's a lot of interesting content coming to PlayStation.
So when are you buying your Xbox One?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on how Titanfall turns out.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting. I think that we have, since the last console generation, we've been Apple-fied as a culture into being trained to buy new technology as it comes out. I think there really was a sea change, and you see that in the numbers of people that are jumping into these consoles without regard to what they're going to play on it. They just want the new tech, and I think that's where we are as a culture now.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you want to secure it because even if there's not a ton of stuff today you're going to buy in the future.
The tech itself is exciting.
Yeah.
And I think that we've also been conditioned to spend a little bit more on that as well, like buying $300, $500 phones.
And it's been so long, I think. It's after 7, 8 years, I think people were ready to sort of commit to a new console. So
It's like buying a new car.
yes, that's right. They are ready.
Got to get a new one. It's been 8 years.
So what happens though? The first quarter to wrap up here, because I saw one of your notes last week where you said maybe GameStop's only going to sell like 300,000 of the consoles between now and March. Does it feel like is it going to really slow down though? Do you think in terms of sales?
Yeah, I mean, my current estimate, which I think is way too low, and I got to upgrade it, is that they combined sell 17.5 million in the next 12 months.
Okay.
My gut tells me that number is more like 22 or 24,
Wow.
just because of the
So
manufacturing
very bullish
plan.
on these new
I just want to see a month or two because I
real-
really think supply-demand balance matters. Once you see them on the shelves every day, and we still aren't seeing them both on the shelves every day.
Right.
Once you see them on the shelves every day, then let me see what the numbers are.
Right.
I made the mistake of thinking that the 3DS would sell out, if you recall. So, and the
Well,
Wii- and the
that's
Wii
right.
U
We
would
do have to
sell
wrap
out.
things up by talking about Nintendo.
Oh,
How's the stock doing?
actually, stock's been ripping
Yeah.
for a couple of reasons. One, the yen's been super, super strong, so that's been good. But the other is that their chairman and former CEO Yamauchi died. And I think there's a myth out there that Mr. Yamauchi was stuck in the past and he was the only person who worked at Nintendo who was impeding their progress onto mobile.
Right.
So now that he's died, they're heading onto mobile, and I don't think that's even a remote possibility. So I think the market's got the stock
Sell
wrong.
now, Packer. Sell now.
I think they're going to pre-announce miserable results. We'll know when we get MPD numbers tomorrow, but
Right.
there's just no way they're selling 9 million Wii U's. I mean, that number's probably 3 million or something, or 4 million. So yeah, they're going to get their toast.
All right. Well, we'll leave on that note, Pachter, and the fans will be contacting you directly at Michael Pachter
We're
on
talking
Twitter.
about the stock, not the company. And the company, they make great games.
Okay,
They
they do make
they
some
just don't have good hardware sales.
All right. Well, we will see what they've got for us in 2014. When we come back in the bonus round, we are going to look forward to some of the big games that are coming out this year.